This is Barbas, just doing God's work.
Dante, get out of there! You're in danger!
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my DMC, Dante Must Die Difficulty video walkthrough. This is mission 16. It's called The Plan. It's very Ocean's 11-y, and it's one of the longest missions of the game. It's also quite challenging. It features some enemies that are definitely going to piss you off if you're not comfortable with them. And if you're wondering why I started this mission with low life, it's because I fucked up the jump at the start, because some of the jumping sections on this game, especially the scripted ones, if you get a little bit too far in front of the scripting, you can really just get screwed, and it sucks, but it is what it is, and you've just got to behave sometimes. But this is going to be more fighting, and we've seen, a lot of fighting to this point. You either like it or you don't. You either know how you want to fight, or you're watching this to see me do moves that you can then replicate yourself. The combat on this game is fun, and it's going to make a lot of people feel better than they are. After a point, though, it gets to there's not that many moves, and I'm becoming more aware of it as I watch this, and I realise the go-to stuff that I go to. Because the only thing that I really don't mix up is my gun usage. And the reason for that is because I just don't like the guns. I've never liked the guns. I think the only Devilmaycry where the guns really mattered was all of them but this one. No, 3 had interesting use of guns. Dante on 4 had some fantastic guns. And obviously on the first one, the guns were just great because they were effective. They were probably the most powerful the guns have ever been. And I miss that. I miss the guns being relevant. Here comes a witch to spoil everything. But one thing I've noticed on this game are the influences that it wears, and it makes me wonder if they are influenced by the things I think they are. For instance, the Limbo stuff. How everything in Limbo is all shadowy and glassy, and how it's all warped colours and different and fantastical. It's extremely similar to Bayonetta and the other world in Bayonetta, which is separate to the human world. Like the witch world. I can't. It's been a while since I've played. I can't really remember. And it makes me wonder: was Bayonetta an influence on this game? And I would hope it was, because if Ninja Theory did not research Bayonetta when they were researching this genre, they're doing it wrong. Because I personally think that Ninja Gaiden is a completely different game. I personally think that Bayonetta is probably the finest action game ever made. And I'm a stickler for the old Devilmaycrys because I love those as well, but they're very different. But as far as a modern perspective goes, I don't think you can get much better, much more fine-tuned, much more just utterly perfection that is that Bayonetta. Bayonetta is... It's one of the best games ever made, especially if you like this genre, because it makes other action games look like a joke, because it's so fast, and it's so good, and it's so complicated, yet it's so simple. It really is. It's what they managed to do with that game is astounding. And the fact that the Wii U gets the sequel is another reason why I want to shoot Nintendo. Oh, it's just such a terrible fucking choice. Oh wow. This is a tough fight, by the way, guys. This is a witch and 2 dream runners, which this is pretty much my nightmare. And I get really lucky on this fight because the game glitches out. I don't know why. It's not like I couldn't have compensated for it, but it definitely made things easier. But what I would recommend, evade the dream runners, kill the witch, and then focus on the 2 bad boys that are attacking us. It's going to give you the best opportunity you can to win. But this is definitely a fight that needs to be figured out. I need to figure out the best way to kill these enemies, because this is a perfect example of why they are the most frustrating enemies on the game, because they actually attack you, they actually do damage, and they actually frustrate, as opposed to the other guys that stand around and wait for you to smack them. And as much as I enjoy the guys that stand around like popcorn waiting to be smashed, these are definitely what add the challenge. But yeah, there's a lot of references to Bayonetta and various other games in this, and I wonder if it is intentional, and it must be, because nothing's copied Bayonetta yet, which is a massive shame, because that game, wow, that game's going to age so well because it was so good at what it does, and there is a wealth of content in that title as well. And I don't know why I'm not playing that with how much I'm talking about it. I do apologise. There's something else I've noticed now that we've just Stalloned the witch and I'm going to run around this room and pick up some orbs. Is the term MLG has a very different connotation depending on the company that you keep. One example, if you're a fan of Call of Duty and you're quite deep in the YouTube scene and the pro scene and all that, MLG is pretty much the highest mark you can get when it comes to competitive gaming. MLG in other places, a la the Dark Souls community and various other places, MLG is kind of a pseudonym, or a synonym's probably a better word, because a pseudonym is a different name, or a fake name for somebody so they can be incognito. Sorry. A synonym for, essentially, someone who tries really hard but is secretly bad. Or he's openly bad but tries real hard and tries to compensate. And MLG is the worst thing you can be called. MLG is worse than being called a cunt or a racial slur. It just seems absolutely stupid. And I don't get that at all, because it's infecting the Twitch chat, along with swag, YOLO, 420, and all the other shit that people say. Pretty much the entire title of that video I uploaded, this you know, pseudo-serious bullshit that people say mockingly because they think that these people who have these delusions of being good and elitist and all that kind of stuff say this kind of trash, and they don't. And it's just... the planet's suffering because of this language use. It really is. The brain cells are just burning out, and we really need to rehabilitate and get it out of our system, because I think it's trash. I think it's the same as terms like scrub, terms like noob, terms like casual. I think it's like all of those. These trendy put-downs that people are saying now, I think are fucking trash. What happened to calling people a dick, or a cock, or a shitbag, or whatever you want to say, a clown, anything? What happened to good old days of joyful and jovial insults? Now everybody has to, you know, mention establishments and get all fucking psychological. It just seems silly. And if you're wondering where the second Dream Runner is, he's stuck. I don't know why, I don't know what he's doing, but he's trapped. I think Guldor's holding his breath, and there's nothing he can do. And you'll notice he's over there in perpetual state of dashing forward, but never going anywhere. And they've just Devil Triggered, so... or he's just Devil Triggered anyway. This guy's just countering me and being a general dickbag. But... it's just one of those fights where the pacing's destroyed by these enemies. Because the thing about the shadows on Devilmaycry 1, if you were aggressive with the shadows, they would beat you up. They would destroy you really quickly. But if you were passive and you lured them into an attack and punished them, you could kill them in seconds. You can't kill this enemy in seconds. There's not that level of fine-tune. It just seems to be a time waster, this idiot thing. And we're going to fight his boss later on, and then after that I don't think we see many more of them, thank God. But I've literally spent longer fighting this guy than I did that entire sequence outside. Because they're dicks, they're just really bad. I do love that. That is one of the things I really enjoy, when that guy mentions the ranking you're on. It reminds me of Halo. Only nowhere near as... I don't know, there's something punchy about Halo, when that guy's just going off on random words that begin with K. Down here is, I believe, either a key or a soul. The only reason I went that way is because I wanted to get some orbs, because there's a part of me that's still trying to play this like an old Devilmaycry where orbs matter. Because there's a lot more life and Devil Trigger parts to buy on the old games. On this one, there's not that many at all. I still haven't got mine fully upgraded because I haven't found all the collectibles, but I'm going to be going back when I do my Heaven or Hell playthrough that I'm on currently, and I'm going to get all that sorted out. I am curious to see how high the Devil Trigger goes, because as it stands, it's kind of ridiculous. One thing that I wasn't a big fan of when I started playing the game was the HUD. Stylistically it makes sense because it's in with the theme of the game. You know, it's all like kind of spray painty, kind of taggy, kind of punky. But there's something about the traditional health bars that are almost, you know, gilded and in those crest-like shapes. And green. Life is... I like the life when it's green. And I do enjoy interesting looking symbols below the life that signifies Devil Trigger, but this game went a different way with that. But this is probably the second longest mission of the game, second only to the second mission of the game, which I think the mission 2 is pretty poorly paced when you're playing it from a gameplay perspective. If you're watching the cutscenes and you're listening to the narrative, it's great, but as soon as you're playing it for anything different, it just seems to be a very linear sequence of repetitive events. This corridor right here reminded me of the first Resident Evil movie.
Floor 87.
Arguably the best one, and it wasn't all that great when it came out.
All of humanity will be enslaved to Mundus, like these poor souls.
But I do apologise if I keep going quiet, guys, because my throat is quite dry, and I have to hit it with a salvo of liquid, because if I don't, I'll not be able to make more, and I've currently got, give or take, 5 more videos to do. Which doesn't sound like a lot until you're talking for 15 minutes in each of them. But this is Elite Stygians. With that move there, I hate that move. They do it from some serious distance, and because the game is quite colourful, it tends to blend into the ground, and you get caught out by it, even though you really shouldn't. But there's a couple of Frost Knights with them. Frost Knights, you either love them or hate them by this point. You either know how to deal with them, or you just bash them up like I do. Once again, it's a good opportunity to keep switching to Osiris to play around with it, but I don't know, I think there should have been an extra demon weapon and an extra angel weapon, because there just seems to be something missing. I don't quite know what, but I just feel like there is. A little bit of jump cancelling. The transition from the Osiris to the Aquila when it comes to the aerial jump cancel is, the timing on it's difficult, because landing the jump after you do the hit from the Aquila is tough, because it's faster. And you're used to the rhythm of the Osiris, which is kind of slower, kind of more methodical. And I cock it up a lot. But I was actually disappointed in Devilmaycry 4 when jump cancelling wasn't a big thing. I mean, you could do it, but the timing on it was tighter, because, you know, there was less attacks that it benefited. And a couple of bosses you could do it, but why the hell would you ever do it when you could just distort real impacts and smash them in seconds? Like the frog, I think he's called Bale. You could jump cancel off his face, off his little crystal on his head. And I never used Gilgamesh because they did the same thing they did to Ifrit, and they slowed it down, and I really hated that weapon after I'd played with Beowulf for so long. And I think that's a very interesting design choice, and it makes me wonder, did they think it was too powerful? Was it too strong or too fast to be that strong? I'm really interested to what the decision was to slow it down again. And don't get me wrong, the animation on Gilgamesh is fantastic. The way it charges up with the little rocket booster things and then delivers the punch is really cool, but it's too slow. Far too slow. And I like fast games, so anything that slows you down is something I don't enjoy. And I am not showing you a good way of fighting this guy. But luckily enough, you don't have to be brilliant to succeed in this one, so. And you can skip some encounters on this level by just whipping up onto the balconies, but every so often they'll block the doorway and it doesn't work, so be aware of that if you're trying to game the system like I did on a handful of occasions. I actually have an edit coming up on the next section of this video where I cut out me falling down and fighting a crowd of enemies, because it's completely unnecessary, and if you time it better than I did, you'll not have to do it. And the enemies were the same things you've seen me fighting the entire time, so you're not missing anything, guys. And it's not like I was going for, you know, the best rank, I'm just trying to do the guide. Because if you're going for best rank on these games, you don't have to so much on this one, but from a pride perspective, if you die, it's best to restart. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, well, I've just wasted 10 minutes of my life, but just think how good you'll get if you keep on, you know, fighting those battles that you originally struggled with. By the time you do get the best rank, you'll be a much better player, and that's what you've got to think about on these games, because the improvements you make sometimes can be incremental, but it's those that count. Those are the ones that separate, you know, the average players from the good players. Like a subscriber of mine mentioned how he's not going to use the demon dodge on his playthrough, which is pretty admirable, and there's a lot of people that feel the same, especially people that have played this game quite a lot, but I've already put forward my point on how I feel about that ability, so I don't personally understand it, but it'll be fun to see somebody do it, but I don't think you'll see me doing it, because I'm just not that interested, really. It reminds me of the new game, no upgrade, Triple S runs of Devilmaycry 3, where, you know, people start a new game and don't upgrade, so they're a base level Dante and they get the highest rank on the game, and like, you only have one combo essentially, and you're going to be spamming the trillion stabs, or the million stabs as it used to be called, for the life of you. Or this is the encounter you can skip. You can completely skip those rages, and I don't like fighting them, so to me that's a dream. This sequence here coming up is the end of the video, so, you know, can't continue talking. Thank you for watching. You take care now.